I'm going to do shadowing of story 10, Little Red Riding Hood.
Do you hear that sound?
Do you hear that sound? That means it's time for another children's classic. You will need to have a coloring book called Little Red Riding Hood in front of you, so you can follow along with me as I go through the book. Let's begin on the page with the first two pictures, side by side. Have you got it? Now, whenever you hear this sound, turn to the next page.
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Here we go.
Here we go.
After a while,
Little Red Riding Hood arrived. She knocked on the door. Lumpy pretended to be her grandmother and said, "Come in, Little Red Riding Hood." And she did. When she got inside, she thought that her grandmother looked very strange, and she didn't want to get too close. But the wolf said, "Come a little closer, my dear." So she did. As Little Red Riding Hood moved closer to the bed, she said, "Grandmother, what big arms you have." And at that, Lumpy leaped out of the bed with a roar. Little Red Riding Hood dropped her basket of goodies and screamed, "You are not my grandmother at all!" That's what said the wolf. He licked his chops, and the next thing you know, Little Red Riding Hood was running around the room, screaming as loud as she could, and Lumpy was running after her. Her cries once again reached the ears of the lumberjack, and this time he knew the little girl was in trouble. He raced towards grandmother's house as fast as his legs could carry him. The house looked all dark inside, and the door was locked, so he got out his axe and his flashlight. He broke the door down and turned the flashlight on Little Red Riding Hood, and the wolf hid under the bed. Little Red Riding Hood went to a closet and found her grandmother sitting on the floor, all tied up. As soon as she was untied, grandmother got out her biggest broom and pushed it under the bed where the donkey was hiding. The grandmother hit Lumpy round the head over and over until Lumpy ran from the house just as fast as his legs could carry him. Little Red Riding Hood and the lumberjack started for home, and there was no Lumpy to worry about this time. After grandmother got through him, he started running, and as far as I know, he may still be running till this day.
And that's
the end of our story. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rex. I'm going to do shadowing of story 10, Little Red Riding Hood. Do you hear that sound? That means it's time for another children's classic. You will need to have a coloring book called Little Red Riding Hood in front of you, so you can follow along with me as I go through the book. Let's begin on the page with the first two pictures, side by side. Have you got it? Now, whenever you hear this sound, turn to the next page. Are you ready? Here we go. Once upon a time, there lived a little country girl who had so many freckles that one stopped counting after 10. Her name was Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother packed a basket of goodies and said to Red Riding Hood, "Take this to your grandmother and go straight along the path through the woods." So, Little Red Riding Hood started for her grandmother's house. She started escaping through the woods, but suddenly she heard a strange noise and cried out. The next thing Little Red Riding Hood knew, a big strong lumberjack was running towards her. He had heard her cry and thought she needed help, but tried as might, they couldn't find what had made a strange noise and scared Little Red Riding Hood. But if the lumberjack had looked just a little harder, he would have found what made the noise. hiding in the bushes. It was Grumpy the wolf. The wolf had her Red Riding Hood told the lumberjack that she was going to her grandmother's house, and he began to form a plan. Grumpy picked around the bushes and saw little Red Riding Hood. The wolf followed her. She walked through the woods, waiting for a chance. Then little Red Riding Hood stopped, where she saw little squirrel munching on some nuts. While she stopped, Grumpy raced ahead to grandmother's house and knocked on the door. Grandmother was expecting Red Riding Hood, so she called out, "Come in." Grumpy did as he was told and walked in. The grandmother jumped out of the bed, started screaming. She ran around the house as fast as she could, but she was no match for the wolf, and he soon caught her. Grumpy quickly tied her up and put a scarf around her mouth so that she wouldn't scream anymore. Then Grumpy took a little nightcap from the table, put it on, turned off all the lights, and jumped into the bed to wait for little Red Riding Hood. After a while, little Red Riding Hood arrived. She knocked on the door. Grumpy pretended to be her grandmother and said, "Call me little Red Riding Hood," and she did. When she got inside, she thought that her grandmother looked very strange, and she didn't want to get too close. But the wolf said, "Come a little closer, my dear." So she did. As little Red Riding Hood moved closer to the bed, she said, "Grandmother, what big arms you have." And at that, Grumpy leaped out of the bed with a roar. Little Red Riding Hood dropped her basket of goodies and screamed, "You are not my grandmother at all!" That's said the wolf. He licked his chops, and the next thing you know, thank you for listening. Goodbye.